Today we're going to look at our surface planer. It's a Grizzly surface planer. First things and parts, there's a light here to show it's on, off switch, the cutter head on button, and the feed button. Cutter head button has to be turned on before the feed button. Down here's a lock to lock the height adjustment. It's just a quarter turn to loosen. We crank the big handle to lower or raise the table based on the thickness of our material that we want to cut, then we lock it. Never ever stand on the infeed side of the table. Any kickback will be in this direction. Knots, splinters, everything else. Once we've selected our material to put in the planer, make sure there's no nails, screws, glue, finishes, stains, varnish on the board. We're going to get our gauge. We're going to measure the thickness of our board in multiple locations to get the thickest measurement of that. Once that's done, we're going to go over and adjust the thickness on our planer and go below the thickest part of our board. So we're going to take the table down below that, and then we're always going to come back up to get rid of backlash to the thickest part of our board as our reference pass. In this case, it happened to be 3/4 of an inch. And we lock it down. Don't need to crank on the lock. Now I'm going to grab my board, making sure not to stand in front of the outfeed table. Make sure my gauge is hung up so there's no loose debris. And I'm going to turn on my cutter head, wait for it to get to full speed. And I'm going to turn on my feed. Again, standing aside, we're going to feed the board in. And we can pick different spots in the table. This time I picked the middle. I'm going to send it through. Once it comes out the other side, it will be a reference pass. It won't be that smooth. So to make another pass, the maximum we can take with our planer is 1 full turn. So only go 1 full turn or less. And I picked a different spot on the table, one a little left this time. And we're sending it through for our second pass. We're going to check it on the outfeed side to make sure it's the right thickness and make sure it's good. If it's good, we shut the planer off and wait for it to come to a stop. If the board for some reason gets stuck while we're feeding, pick the board up first. If picking the board up doesn't allow it to feed, we move slowly back and forth, and eventually it'll pick it up and it'll feed through. Make sure the dust collector's on before we start, and good luck.